Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Happy Breeders' Cup weekend. Let me turn myself down. Turn my studio monitor down so we don't get the feedback. But yeah, happy Breeders' Cup weekend. Friday Breeders' Cup just hours away. Saturday's Breeders' Cup highlighted by a great classic. We'll have plenty of conversation about that over the next couple of days. Hopefully you checked into the Breeders' Cup seminar live yesterday. If not, we've got it cut up for the mornings. You just saw the Friday version a little bit earlier. Tomorrow morning at 9, you'll see the Saturday comments from myself, Tim Wilkin, and Brian Addo, taking a look at the Saturday action. Hopefully we tossed out some good ideas. I'll tell you, if we tossed out a Jack Christopher idea, that is no longer a good idea. News came out late yesterday. Jack Christopher has scratched from the juvenile. I'm just looking here, the Dave Grenig article, due to a shin injury. So Jack Christopher out. For a lot of people, I'm sure that was a single. So now take another look at that race and readjust your handicapping for the juvenile as Jack Christopher is out. Want to hit you with some of the other promos and events. There is a bounty bet available today. $1,897 up for grabs, so just under $1,900 available. That'll be today's late pick 5 at Del Mar. And again, as always, all you have to do to take the shot at winning all or part of the bounty is play the late pick 5 at Del Mar with your Capital OTB bet account. And as long as you do that, you're in for a shot. If you're the lone winner of the late pick 5 today at Del Mar, you pull down the whole bounty. If a few people do, you'll get a consolation. And remember, you're just playing against other people playing via Capital OTB bet. Tomorrow, there is a match bet at the Clubhouse Racebook. Should be a lot of fun. Come on down, watch the racing action, and enjoy Breeders' Cup action today and tomorrow. Come on down. We'd love to have you down and joining us here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. And don't forget, coming up on Sunday, there's a reservation for tomorrow. If you want to reserve a seat for tomorrow, swing down today or give a call and reserve a seat. Get a commemorative glass as well. Sunday, football Sunday, as throughout the season. Wear a jersey, you get in for free. Put your name on one of the squares, maybe a winner jersey or a restaurant voucher. Always a lot of fun. That's coming up the day after. Hopefully everybody's flush with some money, having some fun on Sunday, and you can also watch a little football action as well here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. All right, this morning, we taped an interview with Randy Moss from NBC. He had some good information, as the way he always does, and some good opinions, both Friday and Saturday. So we kind of cut up the interview. Today you'll see his thoughts on the Friday action, and then tomorrow we'll put in his thoughts on Saturday's Breeders' Cup action. A little bit later on, Nick Luck, also from NBC, who is kind of their European expert, European correspondent. Obviously, he's based over in Europe most of the year, but Breeders' Cup weekend, he's over here. Well, the game plan was to talk to him about the Euros and the turf races, but we had Nick on the phone yesterday, and there was a technical difficulty, and our internet went out, which is tied into our phone, and so unfortunately we only hit on a couple of the first 2 turf races with Nick, but we got those, so I thought regardless we'll bring you his thoughts on those first couple of races, first 2 turf races on the juvenile card today. A little bit later on, we also have some taped info that Jenny Reese had done with some of the players in the Breeders' Cup as well. So on a special Friday edition of Racing Across America, a Breeders' Cup edition, we are underway. I'll take a quick break. When we come back, we will put up that Friday portion of the interview I did with Randy Moss. All of that right after this. Stay tuned. Breeders' Cup kicks off later on today. It should be fun. We'll be back right after this.
Where's the best place to find your favorite teams, your favorite food, daily drink specials, and wagering on live horse racing? Legends Field Sports Bar, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Get your game on day or night
I got
with
break on the,
75 flat-screen
you don't read
TVs,
the rundown?
tournament-style pool tables, a private banquet room, and live horse racing.
God.
So if someone asks you, where's the best sports bar in the capital region? Tell them Legends Field Sports Bar, inside the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
The Breeders' Cup World Championships have given us some of horse racing's biggest thrills and biggest payouts, like the $2.7 million Pick 6 payout back in 2003. With a long list of betting options, it's never taken so little to win so much. So don't miss your chance to share in thoroughbred racing's richest event, the Breeders' Cup. And be sure to go to capitalotbbet.com to wager and win.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now. Happy to be joined now by our friend Randy Moss from NBC Sports. They'll be doing the coverage, obviously, of the Breeders' Cup. Randy, good morning.
Hey, Seth. How are you doing?
Very good. Happy to talk to you and get a little insight on the weekend's events. And before we hit into some of the races specifically, I'd love to get out to Del Mar, and for years it was tough. Obviously, being up here in Saratoga, there was the overlap, but now I got to get out to the fall meet at some time, and I'd love to be out there for the Breeders' Cup. But you, for NBC, have hit the various venues around the country and internationally as well when we talk about Woodbine. But how does Del Mar stack up as a Breeders' Cup site?
Oh, I love Del Mar. I absolutely love Del Mar. I always tell my friends, and they know it, that this is where I would live if money, if it's a big if money were no object. But everybody wants to live out here, so money is an object. To me, the perfect racing in America, and I have nothing against Saratoga. I love Saratoga, but I love the beach vibe at Del Mar. If you could take the city of Saratoga Springs and move it west and drop it right where Del Mar is, you would have the best of both worlds in thoroughbred racing.
Well, that's why I say I want to go out to Del Mar. When I was a kid, I was a lifeguard, and I, for years and years and years, spent summer up in Maine. I would be up there for a couple of weeks and on the beach. And so that shot when they look across to the beach that's right across the street from the track, I think just what you said. Oh, that's perfect.
It is. It's absolutely phenomenal, and they did a really good job hosting Breeders' Cup the last time they had it in 2017. It's a little cool out there today, believe it or not. The marine layer was coming in, a little foggy, a little cool, kind of atypical of what you would expect when you hear Del Mar, but still, it's Del Mar, so I'm happy.
Yeah, very good. Let me I always like to ask on these big days, big events, if you're there, you've been there for a while, and I'm just wondering, is there a buzz horse or two, a horse that in the morning has kind of stepped out? And I know just a few days ago, I'm going to have to toss in the mix. Mike Welch tweeted out Acclimate as far as good works for the turf. I think we're going to get a price, so I can't let that one go by. But I'm wondering, is there any buzz in the morning?
Well, the issue with Acclimate, the way I see it, is the presence of Tribuvon, the Chad Brown horse, who made it into the main body of the field and who was a tremendously fast early horse, early as well. So if it weren't for Tribuvon in there, or if, for some reason he drops out, then Acclimate would be able to completely control the pace, which is the name of his game. Otherwise, I just have a feeling that the pace is going to be turned up a little too high for Acclimate to be able to handle the Europeans as well as domestic spending. To me, the only real buzz horse that I keep hearing consistently is Clairiere. The Steve Asmussen 3-year-old filly running in the distaff against Latruska. And on paper, to me, her last race at Parks in the Cotillion was the best race of her career. She took a big step forward, I think, even though it doesn't necessarily show on the numbers, because she was wide on both turns. She set back behind a slow pace and still accelerated sharply as the pace was picking up and drew off to win. Visually very impressive. If she takes another step forward, out here in the distaff, then I think she's in with a long shot chance. And a lot of people are talking about how well she's training.
Yeah, a horse I've liked all year long, so I may have to take an extra look at her. All right, let's take a look at some specific races, and let's start Friday and the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And there are a number of horses, and I'll ask you this as well. Do you have the same feeling I do, that I think this is really shaping up to be a fun Breeders' Cup? Because it seems like we have a lot of kind of stars, quote unquote, that all year long have kind of validated themselves, and they're showing up in the various events as bona fide stars, where some years some of the divisions are kind of lacking that. But I think you have horses like Latruska and Jackie's Warrior, Knicks Go, Essential Quality, horses that, as I say, have really held together all year long. I think is setting this year up to be a pretty special Breeders' Cup.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, we've got so much star power in so many different races that I think it's going to be really entertaining. And you even left out the heaviest favorite of all, Gamine.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's never been a 1-5 shot in the history of the Breeders' Cup. Meadow Star was 2-5 when she won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies way back in the day for Leroy Jolly. That's the shortest price of any horse, any starter in the Breeders' Cup ever. And she won, obviously. And Gamine is almost certainly going to be 1-5 and probably lower than 1-5. So, and that's just a little, side note as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, one of those stars, but very lightly raced, goes in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, Jack Christopher, and we are going to pull up the stretch run of the Champagne. Jack Christopher wins it with the triple-digit buyer, which, of course, for a 2-year-old stands out automatically. I thought Command Performance, the horse that runs second here for Todd Pletcher, was interesting. He gets hung outside a little bit, as does Corniche, the Bob Baffert runner, which may work against Corniche. But I thought Jack Christopher, again, off of the Champagne, probably deserving of the favoritism and will live up to it, I would think. But I did find the horse interesting in this field, the Japanese runner, Jasper Great. And I'll ask you if there's been any buzz on the Japanese runner, but I thought Jasper Great, sibling to Power Broker, who won the front runner out at Santa Anita a few years back. I thought this horse was interesting coming in from Japan, and I think we'll get a price there. What are your thoughts on the Juvenile?
Well, let me address Jasper Great first of all. I sent Jerry Bailey a text message with a link to the video of that race in Hanshin in Japan, where Jasper Great broke his maiden in his only start, and he controlled the pace, and then he drew off visually very impressive to win the race by 10 lengths. And I said, look at this horse might be coming for the Breeders' Cup. And Jerry pointed out rightfully, he said, oh, that's good, it looks good, but who did he beat?
Yeah.
So that's the question you always have to ask. So I went back and did a little research, and there were 2 mile and an eighth races that day on that card for 2-year-old maiden special weights. The earlier race on the card actually ran 3/5 of a second faster than Jasper Great's win. Also, the fractional times were posted in the video and actually online in that particular race that Jasper Great ran. And keep in mind, over there, as they are elsewhere in the world, those races are timed from gate opening and not from the beam, so the fractions are going to be slower. There was an allowance race earlier in the card at 1 mile and an eighth for older horses. And the allowance race went 23.7 for the quarter, 48.9 for the half, 113 and change for the first 6 furlongs. Jasper Great's race, 25 flat for the quarter, 51 and 2 for the half, 116 and 3 for 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah.
He ran against a very weak field, and he was completely gifted in an early lead in tremendously slow fractions. So to me, he's going to wake up in a whole new world.
Yeah, interesting.
On Friday in the Breeders' Cup. The way I see the race progressing, I think they're going to have to Jose Ortiz, as he did in the Champagne, is going to have to let Jack Christopher run a little bit coming out of the gate and sort of survey the landscape and see what's going on. Mike Smith's almost certainly got to use Corniche's speed from the far outside post 12. And Corniche is a very fast-breaking horse whose 2 previous races were won in wire-to-wire fashion. So I think Corniche probably outruns the other Baffert horse, Pinehurst, who doesn't break quite as sharply as Corniche does, and probably gets a clear lead. And as he did in the Champagne, I think Jose Ortiz probably eases back the throttle a little bit on Jack Christopher, swings to the outside of Corniche, and stalks him. The question about Jack Christopher is going to be the distance, the added distance, the mile and 16th as opposed to the one-turn mile in the Belmont Stakes. Corniche is a pretty nice horse. I think he's better than his last Beyer speed figure. I think he'll be tough to reel in. But to me, the play in the race is probably Command Performance, the horse you mentioned initially. He's doing really well. I think the pace is going to be contentious enough that around 2 turns, around a mile and a 16th, and he's certainly bred for it by Union Rags out of a Tappet mare, that he could even take a step forward in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and he's going to be 5-1 in the program. He might actually go off a little higher price than that. So, to me, he's the best play in the race.
Yeah, I find him quite interesting, too. I thought off of that second place finish in the Champagne, is still a maiden and only his second start, was certainly flattering to him, so I think he's interesting as well. Let's take a look at the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. Another one of the strong favorites on the weekend is going to be Echo Zulu. You're part of the Beyer team, and with 3 90 or 90-plus Beyers, Echo Zulu does have an interesting edge in here, and we're going to take a look at Echo Zulu winning the Frazette. We'll watch that stretch run. But I will say, Hidden Connection for Brett Calhoun, 2 for 2 daylight wins. And also a kind of an interesting human story as well with Raylu Gutierrez, for those of us in upstate New York, an upstate native, and started his career at the Finger Lakes. I think he brings a kind of a fun side story to it. But I think Hidden Connection is really interesting in here. What do you think of the Juvenile Fillies?
Yeah, Brett Calhoun, the trainer of Hidden Connection, calls Raylu an up-and-coming star, and he says he's a lot more experienced than a lot of people realize. So it is a cool story to have Raylu on this horse, and obviously you can't fault Hidden Connection's only 2 starts, and wins by 7.5 and then 9 lengths in the Pocahontas, which caught Calhoun a little by surprise. He was confident that she would win both races, but he points out rightfully so, you never expect to see a 9-length win in a graded stakes race at Churchill Downs. So she was very impressive. Didn't beat much, wasn't a whole lot behind her, but she can only win the way she won. You can't fault her because the competition behind her wasn't all that great when she crushes the competition. So I think Hidden Connection is going to get a really good trip. I think she'll save ground around the first turn. As Juju's Map and Echo Zulu probably go on to the lead. She's probably sitting 3rd behind them, maybe even 4th if Tarabi shows speed as well, as you think she probably will. So I think Hidden Connection will get a good trip. I love Echo Zulu's post position, drawn outside in the 6-horse field. That way Rosario can just kind of, check out what's going on inside of him. Juju's Map, Tarabi probably go to the lead. It's a good race. It's an interesting race, and, I like Echo Zulu. I think she's the best horse. I think she'll get a pretty good trip, but she's also going to be 4 to 5 or even money. So, she's not really playable straight, at least, and it's only a 6-horse field, so it's going to be tough to find a lot of value in the exotics either.
Yeah, I might take just a little pop on Sequist, just because Dallas Stewart got off to such a nice start opening day at Churchill the other day with 3 long shot 2-year-old winners. So I thought I'll play around a little bit with that, but yeah, it's going to be a tough ask in there.
Welcome to Albany County, an incredible destination to live, work, and play, with easy connections to more than a dozen cities from our vibrant modern airport. It's a short trip downtown to a hive of culture and amusement, from world-class shows at the newly renovated Times Union Center to reliving the past at the New York State Museum. From outdoor recreation to shopping to nightlife, Albany County has something for everyone. We'll see you soon.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes.
going to be joined now by Nick Luck. Of course, you'll see him on the NBC broadcast. Also based over in Europe, so I thought nobody better to reach out to than Nick to get some opinions on the Europeans. Nick, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. Good to talk to you as always. And I'm right here live trackside at Del Mar, watching Medina Spirit just trot past me.
I'm envious. For years and years, we're right up near Saratoga, so I'm based up here during what was the main Del Mar season. But now with the fall season, I have to get out there because I'd love to get out. Hey, before we get on, you do a podcast as well. Alert people to that and where they can find it.
Yeah, I do a daily podcast, Nick Luck Daily Podcast. It's every weekday. And in fact, today, the time difference this week has been a nightmare trying to get it out at a suitable time for all countries. But we published episode 349 today, so you can find that on any regular podcast platform, iTunes, Google, Spotify, Podbean, wherever you choose to take it, you can get it. And most personally, for your listenership and viewers, on In the Money Media, the great guys at ITM, JK, and Pete Fornatal have been brilliant partners for us. So it's your one-stop shop for your U.S. horse racing podcast. You can find it every day on there.
Excellent. Yeah, of course, we're friendly with JK and Pete, so that people can swing by the In the Money website as well. All right, let's go through some of the Friday action, and we'll take a look at Saturday as well. But let's start out in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. I like Averly Jane, the Wesley Ward horse, but I think the Euros are very interesting. I pulled up a stretch run to the Cornwallis. We're going to watch Twilight Jet win that one. At 15 to 1 on the morning line. That one's interesting, vertiginous. And amongst the three that I looked at, Armor is the one that attracts my attention. Twilight Gleaming is a Wesley Ward horse, but actually has as much European form as American form. Talk about the Euros in the Juvenile Turf Sprint.
So here's the way I look at it. If I was Wesley Ward, I would be very confident that Averly Jane would go pretty close to winning this race, having seen what she did live at Keeneland last time. However, I would be more frightened of the European horses than I would be of the enemy within, if you like. I think a bit like the turf sprint for older horses, this race, the first couple of years, the Europeans that did come over for it got completely taken off their feet. They were just the wrong horses. Last year, a horse called You Better Believe It ran a very good race in third, and this year it's a much stronger group against the locals. Yeah, these are legitimate graded class horses that are running here, the likes of Twilight Jet, Armour, Vertiginous. I like Twilight Jet to run quite a good race here. He's having his 11th start of the year. He's as hard as nails, but you never know it looking at him train on the track. He's a real little coiled spring of a horse, great enthusiasm. He's got gate speed. He's ridden by a very capable rider in Lee Roach. He's having a couple of spins around the turf track today because Michael Iverone's bought a couple of horse sprints to ride, would you believe it? And I think this horse could run well.
And as they say, 15 to 1 on the morning line. I think there's some nice value there, too. The Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly Turf, also on Friday. I pulled up a replay from the Rockfell at Newmarket. It's going to be Hello You over Cachet. They're both in on Friday, but you also have Malavath and Mason Sun. Your thoughts on the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly Turf?
It's a difficult race to work out, I think. Again, not a bad group of Europeans. Hello You is with the strongest form on that run in the Rockfell Stakes. I'm not absolutely convinced in my own mind she'll see this distance out as well as one or two of these. I know you say she's won a Group 2 over a stiff 7 at Newmarket. Oh, fine, she should be able to get a 2-turn mile around here. But she's free enough in her races, and I'd just like to see her drop ahead to settle a little bit. She's got John Velasquez, of course, which is a massive plus. And that is a comment that applies to all the horses owned by Kia Direction, the Ammo Racing principle in the 3 juvenile turf races. So that's a plus. If I was going to take a flyer in this race, and I think it's a real small stakes job, I quite like the look of Malava, the Francis Graffard.
And that's where we lost the phone call. As I said earlier, unfortunately with Nick, our phone was tied into the internet, and the internet was out all throughout the facility here for just a while yesterday. And so unfortunately that was it with Nick, but he gave a couple of ideas there in at least the first couple of turf races for today. So we appreciate his time, appreciate Randy Moss. We did a whole interview with Randy Moss. So again, we separated that out into his conversation on the Friday races and the Saturday races. So tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, Racing Across America, we'll have the Saturday portion of Randy. Also had a little tape piece coming up that our friend Jenny Reese did. She was in Kentucky. She works for the Kentucky HBPA and does a lot of press for them. And for big events, she bounces around the backside. Last week, she was still in Kentucky doing things. Last night, she sent out a bunch of videos that she's done since arriving out at Del Mar. Maybe we'll plug a couple of those in tomorrow because, as I say, the email with those links came last night, so I didn't have time to put them on the rundown. But I did pull up one from last week. We'll get to that after the break. We'll take a quick break. But David Carroll, Mark Cassidy's assistant, talked about last week's, the last big work for Got Stormy. So again, we'll have that after the break and more right after this. Stay tuned.
The Breeders' Cup World Championships have given us some of horse racing's biggest thrills and biggest payouts, like the $2.7 million Pick 6 payout back in 2003. With a long list of betting options, it's never taken so little to win so much. So don't miss your chance to share in Thoroughbred Racing's richest event, the Breeders' Cup. And be sure to go to capitalotbbet.com to wager and win.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Welcome back. Jenny Reese does a great job taping some interviews on the backside before big events, and she's been doing it for the last week and a half, getting people in Kentucky in the last day or two. She's gotten some folks out in Southern California. So tomorrow maybe we'll plug in some. We may have a chance to plug in some of those today. But I wanted to go back to, again, the last serious work, which was just about a week ago in Kentucky for Got Stormy. She's just a fun story. Yeah, certainly. To those of us up here with her victories in the 4-Star Dave. She'll be really interesting to watch on Saturday. And David Carroll, who is Mark Cassidy's assistant, was out in Kentucky last week, and Jenny Reese caught up with David and talked a little bit about Got Stormy. So let's take a look. And again, this was just a week ago out at Churchill Downs. David Carroll talking about the workout from Got Stormy.
She came back from Saratoga in terrific health. She obviously loves Saratoga. Back, her weight's been great, her coast's been great. Obviously Kentucky Downs didn't go according to plan, but we felt we had to get a race into her. We did. She came out of the race terrific. She's just trained like a monster every day, and for a mare now at this age, sometimes you'll see signs of them tailing off, not training with the same enthusiasm. But she goes out there to the track, she trains with enthusiasm, she comes back, she eats great, her weight's great. Her work last week, Tyler breezed her last week, and he said that's the best she's ever felt to him. Declan breezed her today, and I think he'll probably tell you the same thing. I just love what I saw this morning.
Do you have the video of the workout after this?
We'll cool out good, have a good flight out on Monday.
Run that and Mike, I'll just talk a little bit about her, and then I'll throw it to another break.
She's an absolute star, and she's just a privilege to be around.
So people that discount her because she was 6, albeit only beaten like 3.5 lengths at Kentucky Downs, are doing so, at their own peril, thinking of the price that you got on her at Saratoga when she won the 4-Star Dave.
Absolutely. Kentucky Downs was just one of those races to be go against the girls, to be go against the boys. Mark and Spendthrift and my racehorse just felt like, look, we need to get a race in her. If she runs great, that's great. If she doesn't, as long as she comes back, good. But it was so important to get a race into her. We feel she'll love the firm turf, the tight turns. I've never seen a horse run around turns like the way she does. She just accelerates around them. So we got the race in her that we felt we needed. And most importantly, she came out of that race terrific. And I can't emphasize how good she is actually training.
And this is that last workout from Got Stormy. You see her coming down the track there at Churchill, and so they're kind of confident. And again, yesterday, Jenny Reese did an interview with Mark Cassie, so got a little bit of an update there as well. We'll get that to you at some point. But Got Stormy, the post position might be a little bit of a knock. Hung outside in the 11, going the mile at Del Mar, but does have a win at Del Mar, 2019, won the Grade 1 matriarch out there, so has some experience over the course, and certainly, as I say, for us it's just a lot of fun given what she's done in the 4-star Dave. That 1 week turnaround that she had leading into the 4-star Dave, and then this year where I think people thought, oh, she's gone the wrong way, and then she pops the 104 Buyer and wins the 4-star Dave this year as well. So Got Stormy, just a fun story, and a real tie-in again with the wins in the 4-star Dave for us, tie-in for us in the Saratoga area. Fun to root for her, and she's in that Breeders' Cup Mile. And again, as I say, hung outside. That's going to be a little bit of a knock. I put her at the bottom of my mix. I thought Raging Bull. I'm hoping to bounce back to what we saw at Keeneland earlier this year, but Space Blues coming in for Charlie Appleby could be very tough in there. Fun race, though, and it'll be fun to root for Got Stormy. All right, we'll take another break. When we come back, we will continue our special Friday Breeders' Cup edition of Racing Across America. Stay tuned.
Where's the best place to find your favorite teams, your favorite food, daily drink specials, and wagering on live horse racing? Legends Field Sports Bar, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Get your game on day or night with 75 flat-screen TVs, tournament-style pool tables, a private banquet room, and live horse racing. So if someone asks you, where's the best sports bar in the capital region? Tell them Legends Field Sports Bar, inside the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
The Breeders' Cup World Championships have given us some of horse racing's biggest thrills and biggest payouts, like the $2.7 million Pick 6 payout back in 2003. With a long list of betting options, it's never taken so little to win so much. So don't miss your chance to share in thoroughbred racing's richest event, the Breeders' Cup. And be sure to go to capitalotbbet.com to wager and win.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Welcome back. It is a special Friday edition of Racing Across America. Don't forget Del Mar kicking off. What is our post time today? 11:55 Pacific time. That means 2:55 our time. They'll kick off today. We'll have some of those early races on OTB Live this afternoon. I'll also be taking a look at Belmont, which kicks off for the week today. They didn't have any racing down in New York yesterday, but Belmont will be live and in action today. So don't forget, in a couple hours, tune in for OTB Live on this Friday afternoon. And then a little bit later in the day, Breeders' Cup. We're all ready to go. Should be fun. The opportunity to make a little dough. I think there's always a good mix. There are some solid favorites. Excuse me. Some that I think are perhaps vulnerable. But whether you think they are or not, some of them will be vulnerable. It's hard to believe all the strong favorites will win, and there'll be some kooky results. And if you happen to be kooky with the results, you can cash some very nice tickets. I was on the radio with Steve Beck earlier this week, and we were talking betting and how things, and at some point we got to pick threes, 50-cent pick threes, and Steve was saying, you pick your spot and find the one that you think may be a strong short price, and then on either side, or 2 races before, 2 races after, making it. As he was talking, I was pulling up the charts from last year, and I said there was a pick 3 around Knicks Go, and Knicks Go goes off as a favorite. And if you went a little bit deeper on one side and on the other, for a 50-cent pick 3, you wound up with, I think, $350. And the horses on either side weren't necessarily super crazy horses. They were horses you could have put in your mix if you were thinking that, hey, I'll go a little deep, I'll single, I'll go a little deep. And so there'll be some opportunities during the weekend to make some money. Should be fun. All right, as noted, again, our friend Jenny Reese from the Kentucky HBPA, out at Del Mar now, and she's been bouncing around the backside there. She caught up with Todd Pletcher. I believe this is just from yesterday, and she caught up with Todd Pletcher, talked a little bit about Malathat in the distaff. So up next, trainer Todd Pletcher.
She's a very special filly. Part of it is, we train the dam. Secondly, she's got a tremendous personality, very kind filly, very professional. Just, makes my job, really easy, and she's a pleasure to have in the barn.
Sort of talk about the complexion of the distaff and taking on Latruska.
I mean, it's what you would expect from any Breeders' Cup distaff. It's a collection of the best fillies and mares, in the country, and you got some speed in there, you got some closers, you got the best 3-year-old fillies, the best older mares. It's what you'd expect to see of a distaff, and so I think hopefully there's a good honest pace to run at, and we can let our filly do her thing, which I think she's ideally suited to kind of be in a stalking position. She enjoys the target. And seems like she's doing great.
Because Jenny also caught up with Steve Asmussen and had a nice interview about his contingent. Mark Cassidy, as I said, she caught up with him and got a little more. The David Carroll interview was after the big workout last week, but Mark was a little more recent. So we'll plug some of those in tomorrow. Have the Saturday portion of the Randy Moss interview, all of that coming up tomorrow on Racing Across America. Today was just a special kind of Friday abbreviated edition. We're happy you joined us this morning for Handicappers Report, where we kind of parsed out from yesterday's Breeders' Cup seminar. Tim Wilkin, Brian Nadeau, and I took a look at the Friday races. We'll do the same thing tomorrow, kind of parse out the Breeders' Cup seminar Saturday thoughts. So tune in at 9 a.m. for that, 10 a.m. for Racing Across America. Don't forget, coming up in about an hour and a half or so, couple hours, we will kick off OTB Live for a Friday afternoon. Should be a lot of fun, taking a look at some Belmont and a little early action at Del Mar as well, leading in to the Friday Juvenile Breeders' Cup action. Don't forget, there is a bounty bet available today. Speaking of Del Mar and the later races, $1,897. Nice little pot if you wind up being the only winner via Capital OTB Bet of the late pick 5. And that's it. You're playing against that universe of people playing by Capital OTB Bet. You have to play the late pick 5 at Del Mar with your Capital OTB Bet account, and you're in automatically for a shot at the bounty. So take your shot today, late pick 5 at Del Mar. Don't forget, tomorrow there is a match bet promotion here at the clubhouse. Swing on down, enjoy all the Breeders' Cup action, and maybe a little extra dough via the match bet promotion. That's tomorrow here at the Clubhouse Racebook. And coming up on Sunday, of course, it is an NFL Sunday. We'd love to have you stop on by, watch all the racing action the day after, as it were. As I said earlier, hopefully a little extra dough in your pockets from Breeders' Cup weekend, and then kick back and enjoy more Sunday racing action and NFL football as well. Right here, Clubhouse Racebook on Sunday, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. As I say, just a special Friday Breeders' Cup edition of Racing Across America, a little bit of an abbreviated edition. And we'll let you go and get back to your handicapping. Don't forget, as announced earlier, Jack Christopher out of the juvenile with a shin issue, so adjust your handicapping there. Otherwise, hopefully you're all ready to go. You just have to tinker with that handicapping and maybe look up at the odds and kind of figure here or there a little bit, but it should be fun. We will be looking at all of it as we continue over the next couple of days. Hopefully, as I say, everybody's cashing some tickets, having some fun. That's going to be the game plan. We'll lead you into it a little bit later on, about 2 hours away, OTB Live. We'll see you then.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.